Is what we saw at the Grammys with Kanye West and Bianca Censori abuse? That's what we're going to tackle here today. Now, I know we're doing things a little bit differently this week. At the request of listeners, you are getting your first video available on Spotify, and we're also doing this on YouTube. So whatever platform you're listening on, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate being able to connect with you on important topics like narcissist abuse, personal growth, self-improvement, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, all of these things, dangerous personalities, toxic relationships. That's what we cover here on the Drinking with Gin show. So if you're watching on YouTube and this is your first time here, I have 3 seasons, or in season 3 of Drinking with Gin, and it's a personal growth podcast, and we have the chats over drinks, beverages of any kind. Today, I'm having an NA beer. And we're doing things a little bit differently here today because we're talking about something that is pop culture. Now, I don't normally pop on to pop culture trends, but this was just too important of a topic to not address and cover. It was shocking. I don't know if you've seen the pictures or the videos. I'm not going to show them here today because I don't want to give any more attention to them. If you are interested in looking them up based on what I reference here today, by all means feel free, but I just don't want to give them any more attention than they are already getting. And what I'm referring to is Kanye West and his wife, Bianca Censori, and her outfit, if that's what we can even call it, at the Grammys. I want to start with, before I really dive into things and uncover and just leave you with some final thoughts, I have 5 things at the end that I want to leave you with for consideration when you're thinking about this situation yourself, whether you've seen the videos or photos or not. It's just a lot of food for thought when we're talking about emotionally, psychologically abusive relationships. But before I get to that, I want to leave you with the quote that I most recently saw that Kanye West was quoted saying about the situation. He said, "My wife is the most Googled person on the planet called Earth." Let me just leave you with that. That is what he has been quoted saying after all of this attention has been brought to light about the situation. I'm Ginny Preem. I am your host of Drinking with Gin. I'm a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, and a coach. Now, as I'm talking about things here today, I want to say welcome. I'm so happy to get the opportunity to spend time with you again on this important topic. I'm not one to jump on trends, so I'm probably not going to do everything right here. Like I said, I'm not going to show photos and videos of the situation. There's plenty of them out there if you want to see. But this is an important topic, and I felt compelled to cover it because of how glaring of a problem I see this as. I'm not making any diagnosis here. I am not making any bold statements. I just want to call out some of the information and facts as I see them and just some different observations that I'm seeing in this. And if you are an expert, if you're a psychologist, a psychotherapist, I would love for you to weigh in the comments and note, are you seeing this as emotional abuse, coercive control? Are you seeing it as psychological abuse? What are you seeing this as? There are a ton of articles out there already written about this, and this just happened less than 48 hours ago. Now, like I said, I am not diagnosing anything here. However, if you Google famous narcissists, Kanye West is consistently in that list, noted by professionals, by psychologists, by psychotherapists. He also has admitted to being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I'm not going to address that so much here today, but I do want to address some of the observations that I've made and in reading some of the articles that I've read on this topic and their relationship, and also just point out some of the things that have historically happened with him and them so that we can start to look at some of the patterns. And then I will just translate them over to what we already know about narcissists and narcissist abuse. One of the things that people are up in arms about on social media is that different media outlets are calling Bianca's outfit nearly naked. She was fully exposed. All she had on was a little piece of cloth that was completely see-through. You could see everything. So people are offended and up in arms and upset about the fact that these media outlets and social media platforms are calling her outfit nearly naked because it was indecent exposure. You could see everything. If you want to get a little bit more information about the ramifications of what this could look like, were they breaking the law? Was she breaking the law? Tracy Walder is a former FBI agent and CIA officer, and her handle over on Instagram is The Unexpected Spy. She's been a previous guest on my show. She covered and commented on the Diddy case. She comments a lot on pop culture and different things that are going on as it relates to the law. So she actually breaks down in a reel over on Instagram, are they breaking a law? What are the ramifications? If that's something that you want to go take a look at, I will put a link to that Instagram reel so you can take a look at her thoughts as a former FBI agent and CIA officer. There's also a significant amount of speculation as to, were they invited to the Grammys? And after this little stunt, shall we call it, were they escorted out? Were they kicked out? Or did they leave on their own accord? I don't know the answer to those things, but they were there for a very short time and left almost immediately after the stunt of her fully exposing herself at the Grammys. In doing my research to talk to you about this, I did look up and find some video of her appearing to say no to him when he was telling her to take off her jacket. So I don't know if this was a last-minute decision or if she was fighting him to not do this all along, but there were some professional lip readers that were saying that what he said to her was, "You're about to cause a scene." I might be paraphrasing that wrong, but something about "you're about to cause a scene." It sounds like she said no to him at some point. You can see it. It looks pretty clear, but then she does go ahead and take off the coat and unveil and completely expose her naked body. What's also troubling to a lot of people is that Kanye West has children, daughters, and they think that this might not be a very good role model or example to be showing and teaching his children and his daughters. People are disturbed because children could be seeing this on TV, social media. Music is something that people all connect on and love to watch the Grammys, oftentimes for the fashion and the red carpet. And this was a very shocking display. What are your thoughts? I would love for you to comment if you think that this was something that she did on her own, if Kanye was the orchestrator of this, if you think it was appropriate or inappropriate. I'm just curious to know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. One of the articles that I read, again, this is a little bit speculative, but one of the articles that I did read talks about how Bianca's friends and family have been concerned for her, that they can no longer connect with her, that she has kind of isolated herself from her friends and family, which, if this is the case, would be very concerning. We know that narcissists and dangerous people in toxic relationships and abusive relationships like to control and isolate their victims so that they don't have a support system, so that they don't have a sounding board, so that they don't have people that they can talk to and bounce off what is real, what is healthy, what is not healthy, and talk about what they're going through and dealing with. Like I said, there's 5 things that I want to talk to you about as it relates to Kanye specifically, and then I want to talk about how each one of those things align and coincide with what we know about narcissistic behaviors and patterns. So the first one is Kanye has a history of this type of behavior. When he and Kim Kardashian were married, it was noticed, and she even talked about how he basically went in and transformed her entire wardrobe and closet, taking control. In terms of this also being a history and pattern of behavior, if you remember in the news, Kanye West and Bianca Censori were in Italy, and there was a lewd act performed, and his entire butt was exposed during this lewd act in public. So there is a history of repeated patterns of this behavior with Kanye West specifically. And that is one of the things that I always tell people to look for when you think you might be dealing with a narcissist, a dangerous personality, or toxic person. Are you noticing patterns of the same behavior, or are you noticing changed behavior? And like I said, we have been seeing patterns of this disturbing behavior. Number 2, this event was shocking in a lot of different ways. They weren't expected to be seen at the Grammys. It was for attention. And we know that narcissists seek attention. This fills their ego. They are striving to be the center of attention. Everything has to be about them. Now, a little sidebar on this, because some people are saying Bianca's a grown woman. She can do what she wants. She can wear what she wants. All I encourage you to do, if you do look up the photos and the videos, is look at her face. Look at her expression. And you tell me if that looks like an individual that is willingly participating in this. If you see life and light and brightness in her eyes, in her face, in her facial expression, in her body language. And I don't necessarily want to answer that question for you, but I will tell you these are all things that I was looking at when I was observing the situation. And I just encourage you to do the same thing and come to your own conclusions. But again, if you have thoughts on it, go ahead and put it in the comments. Number 3 observation I made about this situation. Ye, as he corrected Don Lemon when he was trying to interview him, has a new album dropping this year. So could this stunt be a publicity stunt? Again, going back to his statement about his wife now being the top Googled person on planet Earth. This is something that seems almost like he's proud of it. It's like he's proud of this act and all of the attention that it brought him. I believe this was very strategic in order to support the attention, making him relevant, keeping him in the news in order for him to help support and make some noise about his new album that is being dropped this year. Again, making him the center of attention while utilizing his wife as pawn in a very, I don't know if I want to use the word negative, but in a situation that has potentially been painted in a very negative light. Number 4, I'd also like to point out the fact that Kanye West has been named in the Diddy lawsuit and has been accused of sexual assault. So this ties back to number 1 in terms of him having a history of abuse, of this type of behavior and these patterns. And the 5th thing that I want to point out is that Kanye West has not taken any accountability. He has not apologized for doing something inappropriate, something illegal, potentially, and certainly has not apologized for the countless people that he has made uncomfortable by this little stunt that they pulled. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that I personally know one single solitary person that would be okay with their entire naked body completely exposed the way Bianca's was, not only in public, but on a platform in a place that gets global exposure. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you do know someone, or it's something that you would be interested in. Again, put it in the comments if this is something that you agree with or disagree with, but I personally just don't think that I know a single solitary person that would voluntarily, if they were not being psychologically and emotionally abused, voluntarily disrobe in a public place with cameras on them that would then be distributed videos and photos all over the world. So if we tie back my 5 little observations about this being repeated behavior, him being accused of sexual assault, that he has a history of this type of abuse, of grooming, that this made a spectacle and created them as the center of attention, that he has an album coming out. Remember what we know about narcissists. They need to be the center of attention. It is all about fulfilling their ego and everything being about them. At what cost? And at what cost to others? It doesn't really matter. They have no empathy. There's no empathy. He didn't apologize. They don't take accountability. These are important cornerstones in what we know about narcissism. And this is coming from someone who has over 40 years of experience with narcissists. I have been studying and researching this for years, and I work alongside world-renowned psychologists and psychologists to bring you credible information on these topics, because I think that's the responsible thing to do. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And again, this is a little bit outside of the normal scope of the things that I talk about here on Drinking with Jen and here on my YouTube channel, but it really does fall in the category of the abuse and narcissism. I don't normally hop on trends, but this was just too important of a situation and a scenario, and so glaringly encompasses so many of the aspects that we talk about. So I just felt it was too important and critical to not discuss here with you and kind of bring to light some of the things that I'm seeing here. So in addition to what I already pointed out in terms of narcissists not having empathy, everything being about their ego, attention, them needing to be the center of attention and everything being about them, they also ultimately seek control. And I think that this situation, from my perspective, is definitely a control situation, particularly because you can see in the video, she is telling him no, and then goes on to do it without her will, because who knows what the repercussions would be at home if she didn't comply with what he was demanding her to do. So that control seeking, the lack of empathy, all of these things combined can be really dangerous. So again, I'm not diagnosing anything here, but I did want to talk about these important factors of this particular situation. I hope you found this helpful, useful, and if you liked it, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on one of the podcast platforms. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.